Hello everyone. Hi, this is Alok Ojha. Welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. We are going through classroom series of modern Indian history. And by now, we have covered diversified topics of modern Indian history. Presently, we are going through series of Anglo-Mysore wars. And we have covered 3 Anglo-Mysore wars. Now, in today's short session, we are going to cover the 4th Anglo-Mysore War, which was the last one, and which ended on 4th May 1799. And finally, the Mysore Sultanate comes to an end and was handed over to the old Wadayar Hindu dynasty. So what all things happened between 3rd and 4th Anglo-Mysore War? Let's explore this in today's short video of 10 to 15 minutes. My friends, I'll go in a gradual step-by-step manner for easier understanding of the concept. Clear? This is how I go in the paid batches. So this is approximately around 20 to 30% of how I go in the paid batches. So please pay attention patiently. We'll go and cover this now. Just a second. First Anglo-Mysore War. It lasted approximately for 3 years. That is from 1766 to 1769. And finally, it ended with Treaty of Madras. The first Anglo-Mysore War was fought between the English East India Company and Mysore Sultanate headed by Hyder Ali. It was followed by Second Anglo-Mysore War. Specifically, it was fought from 1780 to 84. Again during the time of Hyder Ali, and this ended with Treaty of Mangalore. Now moving ahead with the next battle, and that was Third Anglo-Mysore War, which ended with Treaty of Seringapatam. And Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, it started specifically in 1799 and it lasted for just 17 days. Now, specifically in Third Anglo-Mysore War, Treaty of Seringapatam was signed with whom? Tipu Sultan. And it was a kind of an insulting or humiliating treaty with Tipu Sultan. Why? Because the Mysore Sultanate was just left with 50% of its territory. Because the rest 50 was divided between English East India Company, the Nizam and the Marathas. At this point of time, again, another act of humiliation done by Lord Cornwallis at that time was, it is said that, specifically, Tipu Sultan had to pay a war indemnity of 3 crore rupees to English East India Company. Now, Tipu Sultan said, right now, I don't have that much amount of money. At this point of time, immediately, I'll pay you 1.5 crore rupees. And 1.5 crore rupees, I will pay you in installments. This was said by Tipu Sultan to English East India Company as a part of Treaty of Seringapatam, which was the capital of Mysore, to which English East India Company accepted. But what did English East India Company say? For the time being, till you don't pay us 1.5 crore rupees installment, we will keep 2 of your sons as hostages. So it was a very humiliating and an insulting treaty for Tipu Sultan. And in the coming years, Tipu Sultan, specifically, what did he do? He paid the revenue to the company, whatever installment was left, 1.5 crore rupees, and get his both the sons released. Now, at any cost, he wanted to take the revenge of this humiliation. So, what was happening between 1792 to 1799? As discussed, Third Anglo-Mysore War ended in 1792 with Treaty of Seringapatam. And the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War got initiated in 1799. So what was Tipu doing within these years? Now, Tipu, first of all, his target was to recover the losses that he had incurred. 3 crore rupees is not a small amount, my friends. And apart from this, Tipu was busy in building with global alliances. How? Let's explore. In 1794, Tipu supported the formation of Jacobean Club in Mysore. And what is Jacobean Club? Or what was the purpose or objective of Jacobean Club? It was a revolutionary organization, and its major objective was to overthrow the monarchical form of government in France and replace it with republican form of government. And this Jacobean Club was being supported by Tipu Sultan. In fact, many historians do believe that Tipu Sultan himself was a member of Jacobean Club, and he called himself as Citizen Tipu. Apart from this, he planted a tree of liberty at Seringapatam. And there was another famous personality who was also a member of Jacobean Club. His name was Napoleon. Hope you are understanding the points. I'll repeat the points for easier understanding of the concepts again. Hence, I'm going in a gradual step-by-step manner. Okay? 1792, Treaty of Seringapatam, a very humiliating treaty for Tipu Sultan. And within these 7 years, what happened? He had to recover the losses that was incurred. Now, specifically, he paid 1.5 crore rupees installment that was left and got released 2 of his sons. In the coming year, he started forging alliances with France. How? Tipu supported the formation of Jacobean Club in Mysore, precisely in 1794. And Jacobean Club was a revolutionary organization which wanted to overthrow the monarchical form of government in France and replace it with republican form of government. Okay? In fact, it is said that Tipu himself was one of the members of Jacobean Club. He called himself as Citizen Tipu. In fact, he planted a liberty tree at his capital, Seringapatam. And Napoleon was also one of the members of Jacobean Club. So, Tipu was one of the members of Jacobean Club. Napoleon was another member. Don't you think so? Both of them in the coming years will form alliances? Yes, they will. Now, let's understand about Napoleon in short. For this, you need to understand the dynamics that was taking place in Europe at that time. Specifically, it is said that Napoleon was the commander-in-chief of the French army. And specifically, the German state and Italian state was under Austrian dominance. Napoleon, he launched his first attack on the German state. And finally, Austria had to submit. Okay? And specifically in 1797, a treaty was signed with Austria, which is referred as Treaty of Campo Formio. In that case, specifically, here, Austrian lost the battle. Clear? And after this person, Napoleon, goes back to Paris, and he was given a grand welcome in the Paris. Now, Napoleon had another vision. In 1798, he launched an Egyptian attack along with 38,000 soldiers. Why an Egyptian attack now? Because Napoleon had a very different plan going on in his mind. And what was that? Napoleon wanted to create Egypt as a base and attack the territories of English East India Company in India. Hope you understood the political dynamics here. I'll repeat. German state and Italian state were under Austrian dominance. Napoleon, who was the first commander-in-chief of the French army at that time, he attacked his first expedition. He led his first expedition against the German state. Austria lost, and there was a treaty signed which is called as Treaty of Campo Formio. In the coming years, in 1798, Napoleon launched another expedition towards Egypt, along with 38 to 39,000 soldiers. What was the purpose? To make Egypt as a base and attack the territories of English East India Company in India. Correct? And at this time, who was seeking revenge from English East India Company in India? Tipu Sultan. So now Tipu Sultan and Napoleon, both of them forge alliances. Apart from this, it is also believed that Tipu Sultan forged alliances with the rulers of Arabia, Mauritius, Kabul, and so on. So Tipu Sultan had created global alliances now. What was English East India Company doing? Do you think so? English East India Company is so easy to tackle? English East India Company was having a close watch over the activities of Tipu Sultan and precisely the Napoleon. Now what happened further? Specifically 1798, Lord Richard Wellesley, he became the Governor General of Bengal. And we have studied previously about Lord Richard Wellesley in quite depth and detail. Lord Richard Wellesley, he came up with a treaty. He came up with a system which is also called as Subsidiary Alliance System. What is Subsidiary Alliance System all about? Simple words, Britishers would be called as a paramount power. We have studied this in quite depth and detail in the previous session. So the aspirants, those who are new to the platform, it's a request to you, please watch the previous video so that you can easily co-link the things. So Lord Richard Wellesley, he became the Governor General of Bengal and he came up with a subsidiary alliance system, which was originally the idea of French Governor Dupleix. So what is subsidiary alliance system all about? Let me give you a short example about this. Suppose this is English East India Company. This is Nizam, this is Maratha, this is Mysore. Now, English East India Company knows one thing, that Nizam not only has animosity with English East India Company or Marathas not only have animosity with English East India Company, but there is internal squabble between all of them. They are fighting with each other. So why don't I take this as an opportunity for me? So English East India Company said that we will provide the protection to the people who accept our suzerainty. Simple words, Marathas were fighting with Nizam, Marathas were fighting with Mysore. So here an offer was given to them. We will provide you protection. Okay? In that case, you would be referred as a protected state and we would be called as the paramount power. Specifically, British Army would be stationed in your place and you have to cede a part of your territory for that. A British resident would be staying in your court and you have to pay for his expenses. In simple words, subsidiary alliance system is nothing but surrendering one's sovereignty, surrendering one's independence. At this particular point of time, Richard Wellesley asked Tipu Sultan, why don't you sign subsidiary alliance system? And we would like you to sign subsidiary alliance system with us. To which Tipu Sultan declined. And Richard Wellesley was intelligent. He knew that Tipu was planning something else. So, Richard Wellesley, that is English East India Company, it called it alliances back again. That is Nizam and Marathas. Okay. Now, they formed an alliance against Tipu Sultan. Now, Marathas were promised that whatever territories we will conquer, like it is said that only 50% of territories were remaining. So whatever territories we will conquer, 50% we will give it to you. Nizam of Hyderabad had no option because Nizam of Hyderabad was the first one to sign subsidiary alliance system. So they had no option except joining the alliance. So English East India Company, Nizam and Marathas once again came against Tipu Sultan. And they took a siege of Seringapatam, the capital of Mysore. Tipu Sultan was not at all prepared for the war. And he could not call his global alliances. The war lasted for approximately 17 to 18 days. And the war ended on 4th of May 1799. and Tipu was being shot by the English East India Company. Tipu was being killed. Now the territories were being distributed among the three. It is said that British took over the territories of Kanara, Coimbatore, Wayanad, Seringapatam and Dwarpuram. As Britishers had promised Marathas that we will offer you 50% of the territories, at this juncture, they declined. Okay? So Marathas, they got Sunda. And Nizam specifically, they got the region of Guti and Guramkonda. So majority of the major territories were ceded to English East India Company. Now what did English East India Company do? English East India Company restored the old order. Again, the Hindu Vodiyar dynasty was brought in and a minor was chosen as the ruler of the Hindu Vodiyar dynasty. His name was Krishnaraj III. Okay? And specifically speaking, it is believed that English East India Company now signed subsidiary alliance system or subsidiary alliance treaty again with Mysore. In this manner, Fourth Anglo-Mysore War got ended. So, this was nothing but a series of short video on First, Second, Third and Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. We have covered everything in quite depth and detail in a gradual step-by-step manner. My friends, hope you have understood the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. SIP English batch, that is Success in Prelims 2026 crash course, November batch is going to start on 10th of November. Specifically speaking, like prelims preparation. Now, many of the aspirants, they have a very good command over answer writing skill. They have a very good command over the mains and the optional. But in such a situation, suppose if you are falling short of 4 to 5 marks in the prelims examination, you cannot appear in the mains exam. So approaching prelims in a strategic manner, StudyIQ IAS English has come up with SIP English crash course. Proper focus on keywords of history. Proper focus on polity, its amendments, articles and so on. Economy, geography, environment, which plays a very crucial role these days in the prelims examination. And specifically, it's a November batch which will start on 10th of November. Specifically speaking, it's a crash course. Gold, it is 5,999 and platinum, it's 7,999. So use the code Alok Live that is flashing on your screen to get the benefits of the batches. If any kind of query, you can contact on the number that is flashing on your screen. And apart from this, fill up the description form, which is given, the link of the description form, it is given in the comment section. So if you have any kind of the doubt, the team will approach you to clarify the doubt. And please do download the StudyIQ IAS app. With this, I'll stop my today's session. Thank you and have a very